Good morning, I hope you're keeping well. Today I'm getting ready for the day and I'm going to share some tips on how to do your eyeshadow in a way that really kicks out, creates quite a feline shape, and just generally some tips on how to ensure everything's nice and blended and going to last the day. So I'm going to start with my complexion. Now, to be honest with you, if I'm doing a really elaborate eye look, I'd always do my eyes first and then do my base afterwards. But just because I have the redness, it's so distracting, for me anyway. I'd rather not keep looking at it and going, oh, look at my skin today. So I'm going to cover that up and then I will do the eyes. In terms of tidying up any spills, again, that is always going to be so much easier if you haven't got any complexion on. But if you have done your complexion first and then you need to do a tidy up, I'd recommend just keeping the brush to hand that you did the rest of your face with and then using that to buff away any spills. Because sometimes with eye makeup remover, especially the really oily ones, they're the ones I like to use actually because they get everything off. But then once you've used those, it can sometimes be a bit difficult to get anything to stick back down onto them, whether that's your base or your eyeshadow. So always nice to eliminate that risk. Now I'm going over the lids with some complexion product as well. And in a minute, I am going to set that with lots of powder. And that will really ensure that nothing moves, on me anyway. I think everybody's different, but I'm someone that is subject to quite a lot of oiliness around that eye area. And I need to seal it all in place. Now, just to mention, today I'm doing a working day from home with It Cosmetics. So everything I'm using is from them because I'm getting ready for the day. So it makes sense to just kill two birds with one stone rather than doing a whole separate video, taking it all off and getting ready for work, if that makes sense. But just take the tips on board and use whatever you have. I'm by no means saying these things will only work with these set products. So I'm just going to set the eye area, if I can find my brush, with some powder all over. You see, it's so funny, but in the split second that we've been having a chat about that has already set into the little lines on my eyes, and that's totally normal. That's just what happens with creams. I get a lot of people asking me, actually, how do you prevent things slipping into lines? And it's not that there's any one product that will do it, or that there's any, I'm going to do a bit more powdering while I'm here, or that there's any one wonder solution to that. But really the best thing you can do in the areas that you're prone to things spilling, just get them powdered as quickly as possible. Okay, now I'm going to use a contour palette to do my eyeshadow today. Here we go. And the reason I'm doing that is the shapes I want to show you, the blend is going to be achieved by using multiple shades of brown and giving the illusion that you've blended it out when really you've just layered a few different shades of the same colour. So again, feel free to use these tips with any colour that you like. You might have a palette with lots of blues in it, or greens, or I don't know, purples, whatever colour you like. Now I'm using a soft, creamy shade. You can barely see it, to be fair. That is what it's meant to do. All over the lids. This is actually a matte highlighter shade, and it's meant to just look like your skin but slightly brighter. So I've done that all over the lids. And first of all, I'm going to take just this soft shade. I'm going to see if that's dark enough through the sockets of my eyes. And I'm not going to do my brows until the end because I don't know how strong I want them to be. Now this shade, because it's my lightest brown, I'm going to take this all the way through that socket, right up into that inner corner. And you'll see why in a moment. That's like my all over wash that's going to set a template for everything else. Okay, tapping off any excess. I'm going to figure out a way to do it. The way I sit is by the window, so I know it's a bit more difficult to see what I'm doing on this side. And believe me, it's more difficult for me to see what on earth I'm doing on that side. And it can sometimes look like it's not as blended or whatever, but from what I can see, by checking in the natural light, we're on track. That is actually my #1 tip, by the way. When you're getting yourself ready, just make sure you're checking everything in a natural light. Okay, now the next step I'm going to do is go up a notch to this slightly warmer one, and I'm going to take that just in these corners, again on a slightly fluffy brush. And what I want to give the illusion of is that as we go along this eye, we're getting deeper and deeper with our colours in these corners. Again, keeping that lid nice and soft and just building that depth along the way. And I'm kind of going in a, as Kate would say in Liverpool, around the corner motion. And then to really get a handle on this, I'm going to actually blend that out using the same brush that I applied that first shade with. Just to even things up and so that I can see where I'm going, I'm going to take a pencil brush and that second shade and just take it all the way along that under eye. Now, another advantage of using these kind of warm browns is that they tend to make most eye colours pop. So if you do have any warm bronzers and things like that, get them out and have a play, because they will really bring everything to life. Okay, same brush that I've just used, I'm going to take the deep shade and I'm actually going to start to line the outer edge of that lash line on both sides, keeping it nice and soft and smudgy. Maybe adding a tiny bit of kick into those outer corners that I've just added that slightly warmer shade with. Can soften that out with my blending brush. And again, I'm not blending that all the way in. I'm just keeping that blend to the outer corners. I'm on 8 minutes. I do need to start thinking about how much time I've got here. So I'm just adding a nice little bit of depth. Again, gently buffing that just across, say, the first third of the eye. I'll just put that right on my cheeks. Softer brush. And then I'm going to have a look at this in the natural light, if you will excuse me, so that I can really match this up. What I want to ensure is that that blend has been kicked out in a way. I need to lower this one slightly, that it gives like a feline edge. And if you can see there, it's just given me that definition. Now I'm going to take an angled brush and just make sure that those corners are feeling nice and smudgy. And then I'm going to take a brown gel liner, take some out using the back of the brush and put it on the back of my hand. That just means that I'm never putting the brush itself into the pot, so that you can always ensure that it's nice and clean. And then I'm going to go in, tiny little brush, and just line all along that lash line. That brush is actually a bit too small, but hey ho. That's the one I bought downstairs this morning. There we go. And then I'm just going to kick that out into the deepest brown so that it all just merges into one. And get a nice hearty dose of that liner on the brush. Gone in a bit thick on that side. I'll buff that out with a brush in a moment, a clean brush. And one of the reasons I really like a gel liner, if you're starting to see any little fine lines in your eyes, it won't spill into them. It will just sit on the eye. I reckon I'll get away with that without tidying it. Okay. I've got 3.5 minutes. I'm going to finish the rest of my face and then do my mascara at the end, because even then, what have I done with my brow pencil? There's one here. Even if I haven't entirely finished, you're going to get the gist of what this would have looked like. Okay, so I'm going to go in with a skinny brow pencil. Keep my eyes fairly fresh. I am literally throwing this on because the time is of the essence at this point. And then I'll take the spoolie. Got my own hair following me around, that's helpful when I've hardly got any time left. Okay, so while I'm just finishing off, a few key points. Keep a couple of fluffy brushes to hand if you can, and keep a certain colour for each brush. So for example, if it's feeling too heavy and you've been going in with your darker shade, that's when you could go back in with the brush that had a lighter colour on it. And that will help to soften everything and give the illusion of a softer blend. I love starting with the lightest shades and building up to the deepest, and then that way nothing's going to get muddy. You're just going to be able to build and build and build. 2 minutes left. I'm not doing too badly actually. I'm going to take a bit of bronzer and highlighter on a nice fluffy brush. I would say, as a general rule, any kind of warm brown, tan colours are lovely on all eye colours, all complexions. They just give a really golden, fresh eye finish. What have I done there? I've made that a bit muddy looking. We've all been there. Go back to your foundation brush. Buff out any muddiness. That feels better already. So that you're just left with a nice, fresh base. I'm going to go in with a bit of highlighter along those cheekbones. That looks really lovely then, buffed into that brow bone. I'm going to finish this with mascara so you can see how nice it would look. I wanted to get my lips on as well, but really the main thing I wanted you to see in this video was those eyeshadow techniques. So I'm not too unhappy that I didn't get a chance to get a lip on. And don't forget the bottoms. Okay, well that is the end of that. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again for another little lesson soon. See you later.